home that's got the lipstick cosmetic flip to it.
What do you mean by this, Michael?
This is the home that sold 4 months ago for $300,000 less, and you can literally see the layers of paint holding things together. Okay?
We call this, what this references is like lipstick on a pig, right? Like you just putting makeup on something that's not very cute and hoping that they don't notice.
Right.
Welcome to the Growth Drivers Podcast, a show where we break down the leadership frameworks, mindset shifts, and strategies that fuel entrepreneurial success, personal transformation, and business breakthroughs.
I'm Rachel Novak.
And I'm Mike Novak.
Let's dive in and start driving your growth.
All right, we are back, and today we are talking about 5 homes that you should think twice about before buying, okay? And this is like coming through the lens of touring thousands of homes over my career and your career as well, and transacting hundreds and hundreds of times. Like I've just kind of seen the trappings that buyers fall into that can be really expensive mistakes that they make, and that a lot of times the agents either are unaware of or they don't tell the people about because they just want to get a sale.
Yep.
Whatever it is. So this is going to be talking to you, the agents, to coach your buyers, and also just to buyers in general, just to be more alert into like, what are some things you should really watch out for? And these are not like hard stops, like you shouldn't buy this house. These are just like caution signs, like really think twice, do your due diligence, and decide if buying this home with this potential flaw still makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that any home can make sense at the right price. But that price has to take into consideration the potential flaw or defect this home has.
Well,
right?
and this is especially true for people who are buying this house not as the forever home, but specifically as one that they do plan to resell 5, 7, 8 years down the line to buy the next big forever home. So like if your plan is future resale, you have to be thinking about these things.
Yeah. And for some reason, like, that move up buyer has disappeared in the last 5 years. Like most buyers, for some reason, they feel like they need to buy the dream house now. And that's really not the way that real estate has ever been designed.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to get your foot in the door and get like a less expensive, kind of starter home that you can start building equity on. You can have stability of home ownership, a place that you can really call your own, and then upgrade that home like 5 to 8 years later. Mm-hmm. So, side note, we do always tell people like, please don't buy a house unless you're going to stay there for at least 3 to 5 years.
Yes, exactly.
That would be like any home you want to think twice about for sure. Like is the place that you would live in for less than 5 years. So,
exactly.
But let's jump right into it. The first one is the home that's off the busy road. This is like a really big red flag to me. It's not a deal killer per se, but it is definitely a cautionary sign that you should think twice about it, mm-hmm. right? And this is going to be like those major arterials that go in and out of cities, right? So obviously, like, we live in Snohomish County. I wouldn't buy a house off like Highway 9.
Yep. But
I'd also think twice about like, for those that know Marysville, like 88th Street.
Right.
Like roads that have very busy traffic
mm-hmm.
on them.
Mm-hmm.
Those homes are always going to be harder to resell. They're going to sell for less money. And the reason why is that no one wants to live off a main road.
Exactly.
It's busy. It's dangerous for kids. It's just not like dangerous a great experience.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
So that's one that I would really caution you on.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more.
And, I think some buyers pick up on that themselves, but I think some agents are afraid to name it.
And I totally agree. And I think, I think we talked a week or two ago about how, people use, like part of the value that we provide as agents is navigating people sometimes away from things that they may not see. So, if you're showing a home, like I literally just went this yesterday, I showed a new buyer a couple of really beautiful townhouses all throughout Snohomish County. She's figuring out what community she wants to live in. And one of the houses that we went and saw, the community is immediately off of a big thoroughfare. And granted, it's gated, but every time she would come out of that driveway, she is having to turn onto, like she'd have to take a right every time and then go around to get to the freeway. You know what I mean? So so I pointed that out and I said, so if this would be an option, just remember, like you likely wouldn't be able to turn left here ever. You would be waiting forever. And even turning right, you'd have to scoot on out of there and then you have to go all the way around to hit the freeways. Is that going to be efficient for your lifestyle? Right?
Yeah. Potentially getting an accident, pulling out your driveway.
Yeah.
Maybe you have like a teenage driver like we do and you just don't want to put them in that situation.
Not happening. Mm-hmm.
So the second one would be the home that backs up to the highway or the freeway. So kind of a variation of the first one.
Similar.
In our area, this would be like I-5, 405, even Highway 9, like roads where cars are going like 50 miles an hour plus.
Yeah.
You don't want to get that home that backs up to that.
Because a lot of them have like their truck routes too, right? So it's very loud. Or
it's so
very
loud.
Yeah. It's nonstop, right? All day, every day, all night, overnight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to resell this home, you're going to disqualify like 9 out of 10 buyers the second they go outside. And you may be able to even hear it inside.
It unfortunately, it's never. You're totally right, because it's never something that people are like it's the first thing that people are like, no, I don't want that. Period. The house has to be so nice and so well put together and so beautiful inside or soundproofed or whatever that it would make it worth it. You're having to overcome that specific detail of the house with every single buyer.
Yeah. And again, like if you have the right price, maybe it makes sense, but it's going to be something you're going to have to deal with every day. And it's going to eventually drive you nuts.
Yes.
People say you get used to it, but I think you actually just grow to resent it.
I would agree with that. Mm-hmm.
So the third one is the home that's got the lipstick cosmetic flip to it.
What do you mean by this, Michael?
This is the home that sold 4 months ago for $300,000 less. And you can literally see the layers of paint holding things together. Okay.
We call this, what this references is like lipstick on a pig. Right? Like you're just putting makeup on something that's not very cute and hoping that they don't notice.
Right. And the thing to really watch is that the best cosmetic flippers, they actually will spend some money in the kitchen and bathrooms so that you overlook the rest of the house. Mm-hmm. Like they know that that's where the decision-making is going to lie. And so they spend money there. And they do things like, nice full extension dovetail cabinets and drawers and things like that, quartz counters, which grabs people when they're walking to the house. But then when you start like looking a little bit closer and like opening up closets and things, you're like, this is kind of a piece of shit that's held together with duct tape, right? And so you got to really watch out for that. And the best way to like spot this is just slow down when you're touring this type of home and look at the details, right? Is this just been thrown together, or has this home been really well remodeled, right?
I'm going to give you a tip on this one, because I walked through 2 flips yesterday, 2 of the houses that we saw, and one of them was really, really well done. And how I knew it was really well done was because every single door had been replaced, and the hinges inside the doors and the interior doors all matched the hardware. Everything was new. That means I knew that person who did that flip had attention to detail. It was very well done. So if you're walking through something that has a flip, look at the doorknobs, look at the hinges on the doors, look inside the closets, like Mike said. If things are not matching, then you know that they cut corners on a couple of the cosmetic things, and you never know where they also cut corners on mechanical or structural systems.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, is oftentimes these cosmetic flips, they haven't touched the attic.
Right.
They haven't touched the crawl space. They haven't touched the furnace. Right. They haven't touched the water here. Like maybe
people don't see those things.
Yeah, these are like the expensive systems of the home that you're going to have to deal with later. And they know that most people aren't going to look at them.
Exactly.
So just watch out for that. Okay.
100% agreed.
And I'm not trying to say don't go buy a remodeled house, but just look really carefully. And like you said, Rachel, look at the attention to detail. If you see attention to detail in what you're looking at, that's a really good sign.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4 is the home that has foundation or structural issues. If you get the home at the right price, I don't think this is a huge deal, but like we live in Everett, or our office is in Everett, and there's a lot of homes that were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s that have settled massively. I'm talking like 2 to 3 inches in corners, right? And this issue can be fixed, but a lot of these have like post and pier foundations. They don't have poured in place foundations. And if you want a poured in place foundation, which is really what you want in a house, you're talking about jacking this house up and then pouring that foundation underneath it and then dropping it back down into place, which is like $100,000 exercise.
Right.
So again, if you get the right price, it could make sense. But a lot of people don't even pick up on this. And I can like see it because of my building background. I walk in the house because the whole, I feel like I'm walking on like an angle, right? And I can see everything just kind of drifting towards one corner of the house. And then I can see that doors don't close smoothly, right? The doors, when they don't close and they're rubbing at the top or the bottom, that's a huge red flag that something has settled a lot.
So I had a couple of sets of buyers years ago in the North Everett neighborhoods, and they were specifically looking at like these older homes. They wanted the character, they wanted all that. Well, it got to the point where as we were going through some of these properties, like I kept showing them like, this flooring is not good. So I brought a golf ball, and I would put it on the floor in the middle of the living room, and we would watch it, like how fast it would roll to one side. So tip, if you're looking at those old homes, or if that's what is possible in your neighborhood or what you're looking for, just be aware of that. Look at that.
And this ties into financing issues too. Like a lot of people that are, using low down payment options like the state bond program, FHA, VA, those loan programs have really stringent property requirements. And so if the home needs a roof, if the roof is caving in, if the foundation is crumbling or it's leaning too much, like that's going to get called out in an appraisal, and you're not going to be able to get a loan on the house, right? There's certain criteria that has to be met for this home to qualify for financing. And oftentimes these kind of issues will keep it from being qualified for that.
Yep, totally.
Less of an issue for conventional financing. The final one we got for you today, and you see this one a lot, is the home that went under contract and comes back on the market. Not always a red flag,
correct,
but something you need to dive deeper in. And we need to keep in mind when homes come off the market, oftentimes they have inspection contingencies. A buyer may or may not even do the inspection, and oftentimes they just change their minds.
Yeah.
Right? They get payment shock when they see the payment quote. Shame on those lenders that don't run payment scenarios before the person offers on the house.
Exactly.
So they see their payment for the first time once they're under contract, which is horrible. And then they decide, hey, I actually don't want to buy this house. They back out. So in that instance, not a big worry, but you don't know if that's what's happened or not without digging deeper, so just proceed cautiously. Try to get your agent to figure out from the listing agent why it came back on the market. Sometimes they'll tell you the truth, and sometimes I smell bullshit a mile away.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one too, because I do think that, especially in the market that we've had in 2025, like I'm excited to see what 2026 turns out to be and what it looks like. But in 2025, I would say that there were so many buyers that came out of contract in the initial inspection contingency because of that sticker shock or because of cold feet or whatever. And so there was actually a significant amount of opportunity at that point for buyers, to where instead of saying, what's wrong with the house, be like, oh shoot, like, was nothing wrong? And do I have an opportunity to go swoop in and get this thing while the sellers are emotional?
Yeah. For my VIP buyers, I actually watch back on markets really closely.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But I also know how to figure out what really happened.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So if you're an agent, just, make sure you're doing your due diligence for your buyers. Leading them straight, and doing your homework on the property.
Yep.
So
exactly right.
But those are like the 5 big ones. If you avoid these 5 issues, you should do really well buying real estate and making money over the long term. Like I said in the beginning, try to buy with at least a 5 to 8 year perspective. Like, hey, I'm going to be in this home for that period of time, because it's expensive to sell a home in Washington. There's commissions, there's taxes, there's title and escrow fees. It's going to take that long to have the home reasonably appreciate, so you make money when you go to sell, which is ultimately like everyone's goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to build equity to build wealth.
Right, exactly. So we're shooting this right before Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. There you go. See you next year.
Happy New Year. See you next time.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Growth Drivers.
If you found value in this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with a fellow entrepreneur.
For more insights, tools, and resources, visit us at thewarrioragent.com.
Keep pushing forward, keep leading with purpose, and we'll see you next time.